Hey guys, and welcome to the Natty Blueprint podcast. This is episode 9. We're joined by a very special guest today, a IFBB pro. You're the first IFBB pro to be on this podcast. Um, First pro of anything, to be honest, because me and Denny are not pros and we haven't had any of the pros on. So,
I haven't even started yet.
yeah, yeah, Denny hasn't even been on stage yet. So, she is was a former figure pro, or you're still currently a figure pro, right?
So yes, I am still currently a figure pro, but a retired figure pro.
Retired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a retired. Yeah.
IFBB Figure Pro Barbacus is on the podcast today. How you doing, Babs? Do you want to give a little bit of an introduction on yourself?
Yes.
How you got into bodybuilding, what you do now, and we can just go from there.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. This is actually my first podcast since I retired from bodybuilding. So I'm very excited about this conversation. So I competed for 10 years, 9 years, and my first show was in 2015. And then I started with UKBFF. You guys are probably too young to even know what UKBFF is or
I've
was.
heard the stories.
Um, yeah, yeah. And then I won my pro card with the IFBB in 2018. Um, in total, I did about 25 shows, not as a pro, but since the beginning of my career, about 25 shows. So yeah, 9 years of competing. And last year, last July was my last show, sorry, which was the Chicago Pro. And I kind of always knew that last year was going to be my last season as a competitive bodybuilder. And yeah, after Chicago, I decided to hang up my heels and step away from competing. Um, and I started a hybrid style training, so I'm into my CrossFit now. I just did my first HYROX last weekend. I do a bit of Olympic lifting, running. So yeah, I'm into this new chapter of my life, which is really, really exciting.
So
Yeah,
you're into
it's good.
CrossFit now. So goodbye, Babs. You're now off the podcast, and we'll see you next week, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. You know
So,
what? I was thinking about this today that I was always the bodybuilder that thought that I would be bodybuilding for the rest of my life. And whenever I saw someone step away from bodybuilding and started CrossFit or something else, I was always like, oh, like they didn't even love bodybuilding. Like, how can they just step away from it and forget about it? And here I am doing the same thing basically. So I still have a couple of bodybuilding style sessions, but yeah, the main training is now more functional, and I'm focusing more about fitness and what I can do with my body, as in like not just aesthetically, but also strength, functionality, yeah, speed. Yeah, so yeah, really cool
Nice.
stuff.
That was kind of like one of my questions I had for you, Babs, was obviously you potentially knew that that was going to be your last year of competing. Did you have plans going forward what you was going to do, or did it just kind of happen? So HYROX, CrossFit, was that kind of already planned or thought about?
It was hard. It was kind of planned, but also I kind of just like fell into it. The reason why I went for CrossFit and HYROX, but HYROX is something that anyone can do. So you don't need a skill for it. And that's why it's so accessible. So and I'm always going to be competitive. So I needed something that I can straight away just go into, focus on something, get competitive at it, and yeah, just do a competition. With CrossFit, obviously that's slightly different because there are skills that you need to learn, like techniques, and so that will take me a little bit longer. But to answer the question, actually, sorry, um, I wanted something that is similar to bodybuilding in a way that obviously you're using your strength, you're
Yeah.
using intensity, you are pushing yourself. So I can't just go and play badminton.
Yeah.
So I needed something that I can potentially get good at with time.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, that's why one of my friends just said to me, okay, we are going to CrossFit. We went to a CrossFit class and that was it.
And the
A
rest is
new
history.
obsession.
Do
Do you
you
think
think
it
that's something
was
you're going
like?
to stick with? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on, Denny.
Do you reckon you'll stick with that for quite a while? Or is there other plans?
Yeah. CrossFit for sure. I do want to do another HYROX. Just so I can say that I got better at it. Um, so I definitely want to improve my time. But I want to focus more on CrossFit because that still involves that strength element. So you're moving heavy weights. Like I will never step away from the barbell and just lifting heavy and just leaving your soul on the gym floor basically. I feel like HYROX is something that is very trendy at the moment
Yeah.
because and like literally anyone can do it. And for me to get better at HYROX, I would have to massively downsize. So I would have to be a good 10 kg lighter so I could improve my running, which I'm just not ready to do just yet. I'm sure it will happen over the time, naturally, but yeah, I'm not ready to just like actively downsize and lose muscle.
Gotcha.
Do you think? Well, was there ever a period of time when you kind of finished your last show? Did you go through a little bit of like a an empty time where you didn't really have a lot of direction and you kind of struggled with that? Because a lot of time you see a lot of bodybuilders, they go towards the CrossFit, the High Rocks, and then within like a year or maybe 6 months, they go straight back to bodybuilding because it was a bit of a lost period. Obviously, you're coming up to what, nearly a year, close to a year. I think it was last July, your last show, wasn't it? Or August, July.
Yeah, a few months.
So,
Yeah.
well, actually, probably 8 months. But do you find that you're kind of over that voided period and you've now found that direction forward?
Yeah, I think I am. But that definitely was a time just after my last show where I was like, maybe I can just do just one more show, just one last one. And um, I, I stayed in prep, but the next available show would have been 2 or 3 months after my now last show, and it would have been just silly to stay in prep for another 2 or 3 months just for the sake of doing another show. I would not have gained anything from it, and that was the conversation that I had with myself and with a couple of other people, including my coach and some friends, that like what is the point? I already felt like with my last show, I felt like I achieved everything that I can achieve with my physique within the boundaries that I set for myself, or the limits that I set for myself at the beginning of my competing, especially when I started competing in the pro league. Um, and um, and yeah, after stepping away from it, I definitely felt directionless for quite some time. But I started working with a therapist because it was my identity for 10 years. So that was the biggest challenge for me. That I'm Babs, the IFBB pro. So who am I without that title, without that pro card? Like who is actually Babs? So that was the biggest challenge. And yeah, so obviously, like, moving on to more functional training, like, training is always going to be part of my life. It's just non-negotiable, and the foundations are still the same. So I still follow the same structure. I still have the same routine. I still have my meal times. I still eat well. I train almost every day. I focus on recovery. So the foundations are still there. It's just a different platform. So it was so helpful for me to have that platform that I can just fall into basically, because otherwise, yeah, I feel like if people don't have something in place and they step away from bodybuilding, they are just going to feel so directionless because you lose that identity. You don't really know who you are without it. And yeah, you just feel lost, and probably you end up going back to bodybuilding because you don't
Yeah.
actually know who you are
Yeah.
without it.
Yeah,
But
Yeah,
I,
that
I'm
was
I,
sure
I
there's
like,
like,
can't see myself going back.
yeah, it's like that empty kind of like, what am I supposed to do now feeling of like,
Hmm.
what's the point? What am I doing?
Yeah,
I briefly felt that like post prep
yeah,
for like a few weeks. I was like, I hate bodybuilding. Like this is not for me. It's ruined my life. And then
yeah,
a month later, I was back to it, and here I am. Maybe Max went through something similar, or
yeah, I
you're
went through
questioning.
exactly the same. Like in 2022, I
yeah,
came off stage and I was like, I couldn't find direction. And I remember I was even messaging AJ, like, I'm going to go on test. I want to do this. I want to do that. And he was like, no, just do what I'm asking you to do, stick to it. And then I was like, just going all around the place, like spiraling,
yeah,
because like I didn't know what to do. And that was because that season was fucking a tragic season anyway. But I think after you kind of get out of that initial period, either you find something else or you continue with bodybuilding. So it's good that you found that direction through just something else, because obviously you're a
yeah,
pro, you're a high level pro, and you're a high level athlete. So to give that up, there's obviously you've worked so hard for so long, and to find that different direction is really cool, and for you to be happy as well, and
yeah.
fulfilled.
But I think one of the main things is though that I was so content with my last show and how I looked and what I brought to the stage. The result was not what I expected, but you can't control placings. But that again was an eye opener to me, that I felt like, okay, well, this is my best look. I feel like I achieved everything that my physique can achieve, and I'm not a top pro. So even if I keep competing, and which I absolutely love, by the way, I love being on stage. I love traveling for shows. I competed in, so many cool places. But I was like, okay, I need to be realistic. Like if I keep pushing, I keep putting my body through this. I'm also not getting younger. I keep spending a lot of money on this. And I'm not really getting anything else apart from obviously that personal achievement, that yeah, that okay, yeah, like it was my best look. But eventually you just get to a point where you're like, okay, and what else? So I was really content with my last season, and I could put my hands up and say I've done everything. That was my best look, so I can happily walk away from it without feeling like it's an unfinished business. Because
Yeah.
Yeah,
I already in 2022 or 2023, no, 2022, when I had an awful season, I already wanted to step away from bodybuilding. I was like, yeah, I'm done. But that little voice in my head was like, "Ah, you're not, like, it's an unfinished business. You can't just walk away from something that you love without knowing that, okay, like that was your 100%."
yeah.
So, and that's how I felt last year. So I was like, well, okay, I'm happy with what I achieved in bodybuilding. Now I can step away from it.
Yeah. I do have
Yeah.
another question as well, because people will be like, okay, Babs has stepped away from bodybuilding now. And obviously, I know the answer to this, but why have you still got a coach? Because you see a lot of people when they come out of a prep, they go, oh, I don't need a coach anymore. Now, Babs has
Mm,
taken a step away from bodybuilding and she's still got a coach. So I think that's a good
yeah.
question for you.
Yeah. Again, this was something that, like, so many times I was like, ah, you know what, I should just stop coaching, and I don't need a coach. And I'm so glad that I just stuck with it, because I needed that accountability. Because you step away from it all and you don't have anyone to hold yourself accountable to. You feel lost and you think that you can manage it all, but maybe for a couple of weeks I would have been able to manage it myself, and I would have continued to check in with myself. But after a couple of weeks, you just can't be bothered, and then it's gonna go downhill. You just, it's you start you stop being accountable to yourself. You're not tracking your meals, you're not weighing your food. You just become way too flexible. And
Yeah,
having Mads, my coach there, um we we work really well together, but there are a few things that we don't agree on. And it was so good that she kept me on my toes and she kept me challenged. Otherwise, I don't think that I would have been able to just like so smoothly transition. It was definitely a process to sort of like shifting focus from the physique onto performance. And when I'm checking in, like obviously she used to assess my physique in the figure poses, and then we stepped away from that, so I'm just checking in with my lifestyle poses now. um but yeah, honestly, it was so important, and it's still important to have a coach. So I
Yeah,
keep myself accountable to her. And also, we can always get better. We can always learn more. So I don't know everything. And having that second pair of eye, sometimes you can say, yeah, you're doing too much. That was also another problem, that I just wanted to do everything. So I needed someone in my corner to be like,
down a
oh,
little bit.
Slow
Yeah,
down.
yeah, you just need to slow down. You just need to slow down, because you can't train twice a day, every day, 7 days a week.
yeah. You get a lot of that just from maybe just clients in general. Like, oh, should I be doing more of this? Should I be doing more of that? It's like sometimes it's just follow what we've set because
Mm-hmm.
that's enough. You end up doing more. It might work for a
Yeah,
week, 2 weeks, but then the wheels are going to
yeah,
start falling off. So yeah, I
yeah,
think that's really important.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think that I have the confidence to, which is really weird, but I don't think I have the confidence to coach myself and not have that accountability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You would like it's crazy how. So obviously I went through a period. I left AJ in the back end of 2022, and then I've recently got back with him in November last year. But it is kind of crazy how you start off for the first couple of months. You're like checking in with yourself every single the same check-in day, looking over,
Hmm.
and then it got to a point where I was like, oh, I look at myself post workout. So and I did do that. Like I posed majority of sessions post workout, and I always looked at myself, but and I weighed myself every single day. Still had my own diet and everything, but it's still that kind of second pair of eyes. Maybe not
Yeah.
overlooking my whole process to the as much of ability as I probably could have. Um, so it is like it's a major factor to have that accountability there to someone else rather than thinking you're going to have it for yourself, because
Yeah.
majority of the time you're not going to be able to keep that up.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
And
most of
and
the coaching is, isn't it? It is just
yeah,
accountability.
exactly, and the support as well, like, because like especially for me, obviously, like going through this transition, like I really needed that support as well. But I can just like honestly talk about my emotions and my feelings, and how I feel about the whole thing. It was so important, especially after, you know anyway, like after prep, when you come out of prep, you're feeling so sensitive about everything and so emotional, and your head is all over the place. So having that support, knowing that someone is behind you, it's so important.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. Almost someone to keep you there. I think the same with me and Max. I probably could have quite easily gone, see you later, Max, but
Mm.
would have been the worst situation for me because then the wheels would have most definitely just gone AWOL.
Yeah,
So
I was gluing them
Yeah.
back on with sticky tape at one point.
yeah,
I was I was
it
trying
was
to
Yeah.
grab
needed. It
whatever
was needed
glue I
because you are
could to glue them
you're not in
together.
a position to make decisions for yourself, are you? Really,
No,
you're reacting very
no.
emotionally to everything.
Yeah.
So
For
that's not
yourself,
the
you
way to
always
do
make, yeah, sorry, you always make emotional decisions for yourself.
it. Yeah,
Whereas your coach can look at your situation and make a decision based on facts and data.
yeah,
So they can take the emotions out of the decision making, which is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as well, like you can even bring that into clients. Like you probably know, Babs, like when you take clients through peak week and stuff like that, or when you're taking them through preps, sometimes I just look at their physique and look at the data before I even hear them like check in or their voice note and telling me how
Yeah.
they feel, just in case that can kind of subconsciously change my opinion on the way they look.
Yeah.
Because how many times you look at a client, you go, cool, sound, they're on track, and then they're going, oh, I'm so flat, like I'm training shit, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, you're in a good spot, like crack on,
yeah,
like
yeah. The
you
physique
know,
doesn't lie, does it?
It's
Yeah.
that emotional decision making and never pays off well.
Yeah, I also always used to take my check-in pictures and videos first and then weigh myself because often what I found was that
Mm.
I weighed myself first thing in the morning and I was like, oh, body weight is not down. I was in prep.
I'm
And
gonna
then
look
I
shit
looked at
today.
my,
Yeah.
and of course you look at your pictures and you're like, oh, I just hate this check-in. Like
Yeah.
I look shit. I feel like shit. So yeah, it's having someone who can just look at the data and make decisions based on the data and based on the visuals without any emotions. I think it's honestly it's invaluable.
I think Denny, wasn't you deleting your photos after you sent them to me?
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
period I
Yeah.
could not look at them either. It was just like
Yeah.
send, get them gone. Just because, yeah, like the thing is, like we all know this. How we look in the morning is not really an accurate rep. Well,
Yeah.
it technically is an accurate representation because that's how you look, but it's not your best look.
It's not gonna be
And
your
No.
stage look.
you sometimes you just forget that a little bit, and you start over analyzing it. You're like, oh, I've not got any muscle, or I'm not ready, or. But it's not until you look like when I look back at some of the photos from last year, I'm like, was that me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
Even
mad.
for
So,
me now, and I went through the process so many times, but in this last prep, so many times I was like, I just, I'm not lean enough. I don't like how I look. And now I look back at the pictures. I still have all my pictures, and I'm like, wow, like it's just like crazy. I don't even understand how someone can look like that.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that sounded really cocky and really arrogant. But yeah, you know what I
it
mean?
should be.
Like,
No,
Should be.
you should be proud. Like at the end of the
Yeah,
day, you want to
I'm
absolutely.
look
really
back and be
proud.
proud.
I'm really
Yeah,
proud.
you want to
Yeah,
Yeah.
be proud. You know, one day you're going to show people and they're going to be like, you're going to be like, look at me 20 years ago. Like,
yeah.
this is what I
Like I
Yeah.
did.
used to go to the gym, and then it's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
quite impressive.
Yeah. But exactly. But you see, that's one of the reasons why I stepped away from it. Like so I feel like I closed that door. And the reason for that is because I know that that was my best and I know that bodybuilding is something that I was good at. And I did not want to be average. I don't think I could deal with like seeing my physique deteriorate and potentially step on stage again and not looking the same or not
Mm.
looking any better. And yeah, I don't want that. So that's why it's happy memories. I'm happy to just leave it there.
That's unlike me. I'm waiting to come into the Masters show because it might be the only show I might win. So I'm going to hang out when I'm about 60 and I'm the only guy there.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said as well. That if I ever competed again, it would be when it's Masters. But now IFBB changed the rules about the pro
Yeah, the
card.
3 year rule.
And yeah, and I still have 3 years until I can compete in Masters. So it's not gonna happen. Unfortunately, they made the
You have
decision
to
for me.
How funny would that be though? You getting your second pro card.
Yeah,
Yeah, win it
I think you
again.
might like. I don't know if anyone's actually done it yet. Has anyone done it? Like who are
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they've
yeah.
won? That's mental.
Yeah,
It's
there is
kind of crazy,
a
isn't it?
figure girl actually who's done it.
Okay,
mm.
just to sway the topic a little bit more then. How are you finding your new training style then with CrossFit, HYROX? Obviously, you did your first HYROX. Was it the weekend just gone? How was
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it was amazing. It was really good to. I love being a beginner again, and I love the fact that I can get better at something. I mean, obviously in bodybuilding as well, you can always get better. But when you get to that level where you are like very, very close to what your physique can achieve, um, to go from let's say 90% to 100, the margins like you have to work so hard. Whereas now my progress is so fast. Like literally, I'm progressing every week
Probably weekly, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm a newbie. I'm newbie gains. So yeah, in terms of like things like a recovery, it's actually I recover from it so much better. And that's something that I genuinely think is down to bodybuilding and the amount of muscle I have. That my body is so used to higher load and working under a lot of load, that now what I'm doing is more functional, more like speed work, running, jumping, plyometrics. So I can recover from it really, really well, which is great. But yeah, like the mindset is still the same. Like, get better every week, every session, try to improve. And now I'm just getting that satisfaction that, okay, well, every single week, every single session, I learned something new, and it's super exciting. I love being a beginner again, and getting better. And I know that, again, the principles are the same. Work ethic, consistency, keep doing the same thing over and over again, and eventually you are going to get better at it.
Have you
Yeah.
booked your next HYROX then?
Yes. So I have one. So I did pairs in last weekend, sorry. So we did doubles, and the next one I'm doing is in February, and that's just a solo. But I was talked into doing the pro weights, which means that the weights, the strength stations, you are using heavier weights. And now after last weekend, I slightly regret that decision. The running is the same, luckily, but it is going to be heavier weights. So, and I'm going to be on my own. So
Is
yeah,
it
but
all like the same activities from the doubles
yeah,
to the single? Or is it okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so you've
It's
got the experience there of you kind of know what to
yeah,
expect now, just maybe
yeah,
30% heavier.
yeah, yeah. No, I look forward to it. And then I know that I'm going to do another one because I would just want to beat my time.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
the addiction
yeah,
starts again, just
Yeah,
in
I
a
suppose
different
yeah.
that's the
form.
beauty of that sort of training. Obviously, where with bodybuilding, it's very subjective, but with this, you've got times, so it's progressible from a competitive standpoint without needing to rely on someone else's judgment.
Yeah.
It's just
It
times.
was it was so refreshing to be in a competition where I'm not judged on anything. I'm judged basically on my performance, but obviously I'm competing against no one, and that's the same in bodybuilding as well. Obviously, you compete against yourself and your
Yeah,
previous look. So that's the same here as well. You don't compete against anyone, but it's because there's just so many people that you literally don't know where you place. So you just want to do well, and you just want to. For me, because it was the first time, I also didn't have a time um 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 that I wanted to beat. So I was just setting the benchmark with this one. So it was totally like without any pressure. But it was so refreshing to just rely on my performance. So the results is going to, depend on how I do on the day. Whereas in bodybuilding,
anything
it
can happen.
doesn't really
Anything can happen.
matter.
You can
Yeah,
turn up
Yeah,
looking the best you've ever looked and not place because there's, five,
exactly.
six other freaks there. You just there's nothing you can do about it.
And you can't do anything on the day. I mean, obviously, like, yeah, you can peak, but the peaking is done by
Yeah,
show day.
yeah.
So on show day you
yeah,
just turn up. Everything is out of your control.
If
Whereas
someone,
here,
yeah, it's
it's
better. If
it's
someone
it's
is
it's yeah.
genetically better than you, job done.
yeah.
What can you do? Yeah, exactly. So it was quite interesting and refreshing.
Cool.
Nice.
Denny, should we
Cool.
crack on with some questions then?
Yeah, I mean, my first one's a pretty short and sweet one from one of my guys. It was on average, where is it? On average, how long either has your preps for clients been, or just on average, what would you recommend for someone? Obviously, this is very dependent on the person.
Yeah, very dependent on the person. I would just say for females, in general, much longer than for males. I personally, last year, my prep was 24 weeks. And when I prep clients, I don't really prep them for any um, shorter period than 20 weeks. So a minimum of 20 weeks. because females just it's just a lot slower to get lean, and to do it in a sustainable, as sustainable
healthy
as
manner.
prep can be. Healthy,
That makes you female max.
Mate, Babs, you ever done a 28-week prep? I'm about to do a 28-week prep.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if I include my shows as well, like the time between shows,
Oh yeah, you definitely have
oh my
done.
God, I think it was in 2022 when I spent something like 38 weeks
Oh,
in prep.
God,
So
you must
yeah.
really love bodybuilding.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think I've ever really had a client start prep less than 20 weeks out. I think 20 weeks is pretty, even like, because obviously I
yeah,
primarily coach naturals. I think just to do it on a natural manner and retain as much muscle as possible,
even
20
more so.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
starting
yeah,
at 28 weeks out, so obviously AJ thinks
yeah,
I'm really fat. So
yeah. Well, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
so James likes it hard. Limford has asked 3 life lessons that bodybuilding has taught you.
Oh, okay, that's a really good question. Um, Hard work pays off. Like if you put the work in, and you stay consistent, you are disciplined, um, you have the work ethic, hard work pays off. The second one is that you can outwork genetics. I'm not the most genetically gifted person, and that I think that actually applies to like all areas in life as well. Like you don't have to be the smartest, the most intelligent person to do well, to run a business, to be successful in an area that you are passionate about. So you can outwork genetics and just discipline and structure, just everything that I learned from bodybuilding, that you need that routine, you need the structure, and that is going to be your foundation for everything, and you need those foundations to be able to build on. If you don't have those foundations in place, forget about it.
Yeah,
So make sure that you have the foundations in place, and you have that structure, the discipline and routine.
yeah. Like bodybuilding just translates to everything, like you said, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Work,
Bodybuilding is
relationship.
such a great analogy for life. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's why it becomes so addictive, really, isn't it? Because
Mm.
it's
yeah, yeah,
there's just a way of progressing no matter where you start.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Yeah,
And you can always get better. Um, that's always something that you're never going to get to a place where you're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'm happy, I'm content. Well, I say that, and then I actually did last year. So yeah, maybe that's not true. But yeah, there is definitely, for 10 years, there was always a next level, and
yeah,
a next. And to be honest, even last year, like obviously when you look at yourself, you know that you can get better. Like there is always more. It's just, are you willing to make further sacrifices? Whether that's about your
yeah,
health, about your relationships, about your finances. Yeah.
yeah. It's the like cost to benefit that you're getting out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. James has asked a quick fire question. 3 favorite exercises.
It's got to be, if
We can
we're
include
talking like,
CrossFit. We can include it.
okay, cool.
We'll let you off
Yeah, I
this one.
mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at CrossFit yet, so I don't really have favorite exercises. Okay, deadlifts, but that like a conventional deadlift. So pick the barbell up from the floor
Yeah.
basically. Um, Pendulum squat, forever my favorite. Um, and any presses, to be honest. I love an incline press.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
Atlantis incline press, plate loaded incline press, to be
Yeah,
specific.
it's a solid op. A lot of
For
people don't
anyone
like
that for anyone that doesn't know Babs, Babs on the pendulum is just insane. Absolutely
Yeah, thank
insane.
you.
Like, every time I've seen you on it, even I think it was you was with Clint the other day, wasn't you?
Yeah, it was a
And
couple
still
of
like
days
throwing
ago.
4 plates around, like mad.
You're still doing five
Yeah,
plates. I
Yeah.
know you've done
I
6 plates before, haven't you?
no, I've done five. I've done five before, and then now on Monday or Tuesday we trained with Clinton, and yeah, I was like, I think I can still move four plates for six, and then obviously we got like 8 reps, and then for my back off sets, I got something silly like 20 reps with 3 plates,
Oh
and yeah,
wow.
cardio.
Jesus. Yeah. CrossFit's paid off.
Yeah, it's a lot of people said that, especially with the amount of cardio that I'm doing now, with all the running, that oh my God, like you're going to lose strength, you're going to your legs are going to eat away. I don't think so.
No.
And yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, as long as you're eating well and recovering and training still,
Exactly.
it's not going to
Exactly. And
disappear.
exactly. If anything, it's different type of stimulus now. Obviously not the running, but I do a lot of like wall balls, like jumping squats, a lot of like, like fast twitch
Movements, yeah.
stimulus. So yeah, it's definitely working.
Cool. Kieran has asked, "What's Bab's goals? HYROX, CrossFit, etc. Go pro in one of them? Question mark. Can you even go pro in HYROX or IFBB Pro Card
Um,
in HYROX?
Yeah, no, you can be in a group of I think it's called Elite 15. No, because I kind of answered this already. For me to be like a really good hyroxer, I would have to like downsize
Yeah.
significantly, lose muscle, which I don't want. CrossFit, on the other hand, I think CrossFit I can get pretty good at it once I learn the like gymnastic skills. That's my downfall. When it comes to moving weight, there are a couple of events. There is an event called Athletics, which is a combination of like strength and cardio, but just like a short distance cardio, more like a bit of engine work. But there is also like a 5 rep max squat, back squat. So it's something like that. That's
Yeah.
my cup of tea. So yeah, I really want to do some of those events. But for me to be this is just like bodybuilding. For me to be at a level where I'm good at and I can compete against good people. It's going to take me years, so it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, you're smashing
Okay.
it already, to be fair.
No, thank
So
you.
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
into your singles already, most people will be like, no.
Yeah, but again, I think like both physically and like just the mindset and mentally. Obviously, physically having muscle is so important because imagine I go into these new sports or activities. Obviously, already have the muscle, I have the strength, I have the mind muscle connection, the body awareness. Whereas someone who is like a complete beginner, never been to the gym, they have to learn all of this. They have to build muscle as well, which is going to take them, obviously, we all know, it's going to take them 10 years, plus learn the new skills. Whereas I have the advantage of already, I have the muscle, I don't have to worry about that. And obviously, just a mindset as well that, I
Yeah.
know that it's going to take me a while. I don't expect magic overnight. And I'm willing to put the work in.
Yeah. So yeah, it's paid off. Yeah.
Cool. Joe Edwards has asked your go-to recovery protocols, e.g., complete rest days, Whoop. I'm assuming he means like Whoop band, supplements, massage, sauna, etc.
Sleep.
Um, yeah, so just like being mindful of what your body can actually do. So not trying to be a hero and doing like sessions every single day. So just obviously like being honest with yourself. So having rest days and just like managing your volume. I think it always starts with that, like manage your volume, whether that's bodybuilding training or whatever type of training you do. Don't try to overdo and do more than what your body can handle. But in terms of recovery, sleep is the most important one. Sleep, hydration, good nutrition. These are the daily things. And yeah, of course, like supplements like creatine, very important. Hydration, electrolytes, just making sure that you're replenishing the electrolytes that you lose. Rest days, full rest days. And then on top of that, like body treatments, massages, if you have a massage gun. But always starts with like managing your volume and focusing on sleep. I think that's the key
Yeah.
element.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You only need to recover from what you're doing to your body in the first place. So if that's too
Yeah,
much, there's
yeah,
only so much
exactly,
recovery you can do after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. And
I'd
like
also,
obviously there are situations where you have to push, like in prep, for example, you can't just be like, well, okay, I can't recover from 60 minutes cardio. Well, it doesn't really matter. You still need
yeah,
to do
you've
the
got to
60
get on
minutes
with it.
Yeah.
cardio. But obviously like focusing on things like sleep, hydration, nutrition, quality nutrition, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to add to that as well, because obviously you said Whoop. I would take that
Um,
with a pinch of salt, all that data. Be
yeah,
intuitive. Actually think about how you feel first before looking at your Whoop score and judging how your day's going to go. Because if I did
yeah,
that, my Aura ring tells me to die every single day, and I'm still breathing. So,
Maybe that's
yeah.
why you've got a 28-week prep.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But for sure, I often look at my ordering and my readiness is like, I don't know, 50. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, I
yeah.
still have to
I've got to get on
train.
with my day. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Especially
day
in
doesn't start.
in prep, like whatever, like you just
yeah,
have to power through it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
because
a
you're
tool,
literally
aren't they?
doing
They're a
something to
data
your
tool
body.
that you can use.
Yeah.
Cool. Paul Hendrick has asked, what's your opinion on intensifiers? What do you usually program? Rest pauses, drop sets, myo sets, cluster sets?
I think it depends on the level the person is that I'm programming for. I personally, I don't need it because I I know how to train to failure. Um, I quite like intensifiers with clients, especially with new ones, because let's be honest, not many people understand the concept of training to failure. And if you program them rest pause sets or drop sets or myo sets or rep match, you're probably going to get them a little bit closer to failure than
Yeah.
if you just program them a straight set. So I actually quite like them for clients, but I think someone who knows understands the concept to training to failure, they probably don't need intensifiers unless they are assisted and their recovery is absolutely on point. And obviously increasing the volume is a really good
Yeah.
way to add intensifiers.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Do you
completely agree.
guys
To be
use
honest,
any intensifiers?
very
Yeah. So,
rarely actually. I think I've got like I maybe put a couple of rest pause sets in there occasionally.
Mm,
yeah.
Mainly down to the fact that I don't want to give the client like two sets or three sets, so I'll give them one set with a rest pause,
yeah,
so you kind of get more effective reps basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, I very rarely will program. I don't think I really program drop sets. Maybe for like delts or something, really like a very small muscle group.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like
but yeah, no, not really.
similar, like you said, perhaps with like the level of client, it's
yeah,
very easy to go with just a blanket, oh, 2 sets, working sets. But that's not going to work for everyone because, like you said, if they
no,
can't get to that failure point, them doing 2 sets is by and large just them warming up. So
yeah,
you need to potentially
exactly.
give them a bit more volume. So drop sets, supersets, intensifiers, all like that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think it does depend. And also enjoyment as well. If you enjoy doing them, it might not be the best, but
yeah,
wherever you're at with it, if you enjoy doing it, then crack on.
yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah.
doing like I know it's not intensifiers, but I like doing pause reps and like 1.5 reps and stuff like that, just
Yeah,
because it's hard. Like, and
yeah,
I just
Yeah.
enjoy doing hard stuff. So like on a leg press, I'll do a couple of
yeah,
second count in the pause in the stretch or whatever, you know. But it's not because I'm
yeah,
doing that. I just do it because I enjoy it. So it's
And yeah.
yeah.
yeah. It
He's
is really
also asked
efficient as
how.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's also asked, how many sets do you recommend on a compound movement?
depends what it is.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
depends what it
depends,
is.
it depends on so
Depends on the
many
rest of your
things.
session.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like for example, in prep, I would often just do one set on a, like for example, a pendulum, because again, like if you do um 15 reps on it and you absolutely die on the pendulum, like you don't need any more. Um, Also, is it a muscle that you trying to bring up? We can there's so
yeah.
many
There's
different
so
answers
much.
to it.
Yeah,
Let's say in general, I would say maybe two sets for most people. I think if you do two sets and you do those two sets correctly, I think two sets is enough.
yeah,
Two or
yeah.
three
I was going
sets
to give a
maybe.
really blanket answer and go as many as you can recover from, but probably wouldn't give
I
a
mean,
very good
Yeah,
that is
indication.
technically the answer, though, isn't
yeah. Do
it?
do two sets, but just make sure that if I'm there and tell you that I give you £1,000, if you do one more rep, you can't do any more.
Yeah,
You do
Yeah,
two of those sets, you will be fine.
literally. Yeah,
the £1,000 analogy is a lot nicer than what I think when I'm
yeah.
doing
Yours
that,
is a
but
gun.
literally
It's just a
mine is
gun,
like
yeah.
just horrific. So is my music choice in those situations as well, to be honest. But
Yeah,
Denny, have you got any more questions, mate? 'Cause I'm dried up with questions.
that's me out. That's me out because no one likes me apparently when I put a question box on.
I carry this
Yeah.
podcast, man. Oh
Yeah,
dear.
I did have a question which was quite similar to one of the questions previously, but like what is the biggest lesson and from bodybuilding obviously, and um it's definitely what I said about the like discipline and work ethic, and like bodybuilding taught me so much that I'm still applying in everyday life, in all areas of my life, the discipline, the structure, how important routine is, how important um, having a plan, staying accountable to someone, health, eating well, obviously everything that I learned about nutrition, fueling my body, um, what I should eat pre-workout, post-workout to perform well. So yeah, I think often people think that bodybuilding is all about aesthetics, but when you actually think about it, it teaches you so much, and
Much
I'm
more.
forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got
Yeah.
one more question for you, Babs. I just remembered. How did you get into bodybuilding? Like, when did you officially start? Was it parents? Was it friends?
No, it was actually a PT in a gym group, gym
Oh, wow.
that I had when I started training. I had a few PT sessions with him because obviously I didn't know anything about training. That was, bear in mind, that was like 11 years ago. Girls are just about to get familiar with like using dumbbells and weight training. People are still like very much into their cardio. So that was that
Yeah.
time when Instagram started to become um, um, quite popular, and yeah, like females training with like dumbbells and picking up the weights. So I had a few PT sessions, and he was like, yeah, you are getting really good at this, and you're gaining muscle fairly easily. And have you ever thought about competing? And I was like, competing in what? Like a 5K
What is that?
running? You want me to run a 5K or what? So I had no idea. And he used to compete, and yeah, he obviously just told me all about the federations, and I went to a posing class, and yeah, that was it. I was sold, basically. Yeah.
No.
But
Shout out
yeah,
to
my,
that.
my first, yeah, yeah, bless him. But my first year was awful. I made all the mistakes that you can imagine, like thinking that I'm going to become the next big thing after my first show. I'm going to win my first show. Came that last. So yeah, I made all the mistakes. But yeah.
If you had
Nice.
any advice then, because obviously we have a lot of, about two female listeners for this podcast. If you had any advice for any female listeners that are, want advice from a pro, what would you give them?
Um, Make sure that you have a coach. Make sure that you have the right coach as well. And if you make sure that you do this for the right reasons and not just for Instagram and just because your boyfriend competes or the girl in the gym that you look up to competes. Just understand the requirements of it because yeah, it looks really cool. Being 5% body fat looks amazing, but understand what goes into it and all the sacrifices that you need to make and how it's going to affect your life, your partner's life, your relationships, your work. So obviously make sure that you have the right reasons for it and then the right guidance. And if you are a competitor and you are thinking about, like your future in competing, I would say, especially females, just set boundaries and just stick to them because that was something that I always reminded myself of that okay, when you came into this sport, you said that you would only do XYZ. Just make sure that you stick to those boundaries
Yeah.
because again, there is life after bodybuilding, and I always thought that that isn't. I was, I thought that I would always be a bodybuilder, but yeah, trust me, there is life after and outside of bodybuilding. So yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
keep
that's
that
good
in mind.
to say as well, because you hear about a lot of females, and obviously it takes months to get their cycles back after prep, and then all of a sudden they're prepping again, and it's like, are you in a healthy spot to be like you
Mm,
literally posted 2 weeks ago that you finally got your cycle back, and now you're back in prep, like
yeah,
you're probably not in a
yeah,
healthy standpoint to prep.
yeah.
So yeah, that's good
It's
advice.
it's it's definitely it's addictive, right? Um, but you can the stage is always going to be there. It's not going anywhere. So you can take your time. And to be honest, the more time you take between shows, the better you're going to be the next time you compete. And I'm sure that's for males as well. And again, that was a big mistake that I made in my career that I never really took time off. And in that 1 year, when I actually dedicated the full year to off season, I made the most amount of progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
So
shows,
that's,
doesn't it?
yeah,
it does
Time off
show.
is
yeah,
needed to grow.
definitely.
Okay, I've got one
Yeah.
last question then, just to wrap it up. Um, Transitioning a bit, did you find that when you transition from bodybuilding to your training now, did it have an effect on your business? Did you find that, obviously maybe your competitors or people who are looking at you for competing, maybe, took a different approach? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think people that watch me and my personal transition, and when you look at my Instagram, for example, I think people absolutely love it. It did have an impact on my business. But I also truly think that eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah,
I just think that I need to go through this transition, and with that, people and my clients need to go through the transition as well. So yeah, it definitely did have um, a negative impact on my business. I didn't have clients leave, but I also noticed that inquiries are dropping off. But that's okay. I also completely understand that because for 10 years I was Babs the bodybuilder, and now all of a sudden I'm not that anymore. So there is
Yeah.
going to be a transition period, and that's okay.
you
Yeah.
could also say as well, because you came out of prep, obviously when you're in prep, coaching inquiries are a lot higher than when as soon as you come out of prep, it's like. So
Yeah.
you could also argue that, but I think the main thing is people should look at you and realize what you've done before they realize currently what you're actually doing now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, but also, just like naturally, my audience is changing. So obviously, I get people, new followers that that follow me for this like hybrid thing, and that's absolutely fine. And I also noticed that obviously I'm changing my language on Instagram. I'm changing my content on Instagram, changing directions. So it's just that transition period, but it's cool. I think when it comes to business as well, you just always need to be yourself. And I could still pretend to be this bodybuilder that goes to, the gym and bodybuilds every single day. But I want to be relatable. And
Yeah.
that's not me at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
People buy into personality. People buy
exactly.
your personal brand is everything, and your personal brand
Exactly.
is you. So
Exactly. Exactly.
cool. We will wrap it up there. Babs, do you want to give a little bit of a shout out to yourself? Where can people find you? Instagram, whatever the socials you have.
Yes, so if anyone is interested in all this like hybrid lifestyle and all the crazy HYROX training, they can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is Body by Babs. And yeah, just give me a follow. And if anyone has any questions, if any of the female listeners have any questions, just drop me a DM. I'm super happy to help.
Awesome.
Thank you everyone for listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, give us a tag, give Babs a tag as well. We'll link her Instagram in the description below, and we will catch you in the next one. Thank you.